Today on Studio Space, we're going to explore the creative world of stained glass artist Colleen Clifford. She's known for her beautiful designs and detailed works. Hi Colleen, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks so much for being here, David.
So what is it about the glass in particular that you are drawn to?
I like working with glass because it's a medium it's fragile, but it is so beautiful, and it has a lot of texture in how you look at it and how it feels. So you can really find a lot of ways to turn it into something beautiful and make the light kind of express itself and have a different kind of feeling just through the glass than you would with any other medium.
Interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of creating your stained glass work? Because there's so many different elements in that process.
There are, and the steps are actually pretty defined. So it's really important to come to your piece with a working pattern, that the lines are clearly defined and drawn and ready to be divided. Once those pattern pieces are all cut out and I've chosen my colors, I transfer the pattern onto the glass itself. This is a nice deep purple that I just love. So that gets traced on here before I cut. And as you can see, they are kind of all scattered in there, kind of quilted in there to make sure I use the right place and the right part of the glass. And so just the surface has that line in it. And then I use pliers or pressure from my hands in order to get it to cut the way it actually should. And there's those pieces cut out of there. Well, I actually learned in high school, which was an incredible opportunity. And we had a class called Art Metals, where we did different kinds of work with different metals, piercing and sawing copper and lost wax casting, all different kinds of ways to work with metals. And that included stained glass. And I loved the stained glass portion. It was definitely my kind of art. I love the colors and the textures. So I bought the materials and did it as more of a hobby in the background of my life for a while. It kind of ebbed and flowed. It came in and out of my life at different times. But I got a job working with stained glass lamps after college and did that for a long period of time. And that's when I really honed my skills as a stained glass craftsperson.
Did you have any particular influences or memories that, helped you evolve as a creative artist or a creative person?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't a natural born artist, I don't think. I definitely have the kind of puzzle mind, engineering mind. But my parents were really supportive of art, and they would take us to the Chicago Art Institute. Maybe as a young kid, you don't understand the importance of it, but as you get older, you start to see the brush strokes, or a sculpture, as you get bigger, you kind of see the work that's put into it. One example there was Marc Chagall's America windows.
Oh, wow.
Those beautiful blue windows.
Right.
They were illuminating just a walkway. So as you're just wandering this museum, you walk through this beautiful blue, it was a very blue window, very large, but all blues and really intricate patterns. Hadn't learned stained glass, didn't know much about it, but I think that opportunity to see it and absorb it literally, it was really a good opportunity.
Yeah. Your work is obviously very influenced by, or at least by my outside eye, by the natural world. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, we live in such a beautiful place. It's hard not to want to incorporate those elements that we have, the redwoods, the ocean. I grew up in the Midwest, so those elements of being here are definitely a draw and a reason I'm here. So I incorporate them in my pieces for myself and clients, people that want a stained glass commissioned. They definitely ask for those things too, because that's what we all love, the egrets and the pelicans, things that have drawn us to where we call home.
You do a lot of custom work, and there's some great, records of it out there. Can you tell us a little bit about how that process is different? It's a collaborative process, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really fun relationship to develop with someone. A lot of them are just strangers who contact me because they know I do stained glass, and it's been such a fun kind of dance to work with, because they come with an idea, but most of them will say, but I like your art, why don't you bring something to the table, and let's make sure that we're both happy at the end of it. And I think that's the most important thing, is that my art and their ideas kind of merge together to be something that they're comfortable with for years to come. And that sits in there. This project was brought to me by someone who had this designed 35 years ago. And I redrew the lines off of an old design pattern, and now it is coming together as lead came. This is a different version than the copper foil. This is the channel that the glass will sit in, so that has to be cut around every single piece. First, I'll show you how this will work on the pattern. It's a lot of candle parts, so I can peel off my pattern pieces when they are after they're ground. You'll see me cutting the lead cane to fit in between. I've got one piece cut right here. I get to use these nice horseshoe nails to keep everything in place as I go. Okay. The next one slides in, and you can see that it really just wants to sit inside that channel. And after everything's all put in their channels, they will be puttied or cemented so that it's very tight and weatherproof. This is pure lead, so it's a very soft material. It can cut really easily, it can bend really easily, and that makes it ideal for this kind of process that kind of, you have to make every piece unique and fit around even curvy pieces. Okay. The process of stained glass really, it's actually pretty simple once you have the tools. It's, the cutting, you need your glass cutters, the grinding, you need your grinders, soldering, you need a soldering iron. But beyond that, there aren't too many fancy gadgets that you need to make your own stained glass. I like using the human forms, specifically female forms, because I feel it's a great placeholder for myself as the artist. It's also a great way to kind of invite the audience into being in that moment that you've created, whether it's an emotion or an action. Different poses will create a different sensation and a different feeling in the viewer. And for a long time, I did poses that were more at repose and calm. But a few years ago, there's kind of this more momentous need for action in the world, and I felt that I needed to start making my poses a little stronger, a little more in action mode. So that's been a change in my figure forms. But it's something that I've enjoyed a long time, and I think it automatically creates a certain mood when you show people work with figures in it. So that's why I keep doing it.
Do you have any special dream projects that you've always thought, oh, I just really want to do this?
I have a few ideas, and they usually require more space. The idea of making large panels that are freestanding is something I'd like to do, and maybe put a show on somewhere that has the space and the lighting to kind of make it kind of something you can walk around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Interesting. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell anyone.
Okay.
You might steal my idea. No, it's tricky.
It's our secret.
Yeah. Turn the cameras off for that. Stained glass is really is a three-dimensional art, even though you look at it as a two-dimensional art. So it's fun to kind of think about what's going to be seen from all directions. Things indoors, for example, you can see as you walk up to it or from the inside. So you think about the glass you choose depends on what kind of privacy a person will want in their home, what kind of light they want to be shining through. And we work out all of those details. So there's some basic pragmatism involved in selecting colors and textures. It's kind of an an interesting part of the process that I think many of the customers I have don't think about that
Right.
ahead of time, but
Yeah.
it's an important
And
thing.
also the other idea that it's not always going to look the same.
Absolutely.
It's going to look very different at different times of day,
Yeah.
different, cloud cover, different bright light or
Yep.
almost no light. It's going to have a different
Yeah.
feel.
Different seasons, different times of year when the light will shine directly through it or just be, coming through the side. So it's neat to think about all that. One of my favorite things is what I call it the sun shadow. But I think the technical term is the refraction of the light. The sun shines through it and it will cast the sun shadow onto the opposite surface. And that will move through a home throughout the year. And that's where I feel, that kind of godly moment where you feel the warmth of the sun because that's there. But then you also see and feel the color kind of shining on if you walk through it, on your body or on your chair or your floor. And that part of it is it's so beautiful. And the textures of glass will look different on the floor. And you think about a church that has old windows that light up the interior of the church as the sun moves throughout the day, and how that might have been kind of an otherworldly experience at the time. And without screens and other kinds of lighting devices, that was a really important way for people to feel empowered and kind of a spiritual moment. So I like working with the glass and seeing how different times of day will work with the glass, different seasons will light it up differently. And so I love to think about where something's going to be placed in someone's home, and as far as incorporating the light and the aspects of illuminating the pieces of glass itself.
Thanks, Colleen, so much for having us in your house and showing us your wonderful work. It's been really a pleasure.
Well, thank you, David.
And thank you for joining us on Studio Space.